The narrative.
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 Changing the Narrative, an initiative powered by OVJ.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of the Changing the Narrative podcast. This podcast was created to increase Ghanaian and African cultural patronage through conversations aimed at shifting our mindset for the better. I'm thrilled to let you know that this season of the podcast is sponsored by Newcomer, a social media platform for African creatives to share their work, find jobs, as well as events. On this episode, I have with me the lovely Nabeela Abubakar, who is a strategist for sustainable development, as well as the team lead of the goTo initiative. Welcome, Nabeela. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you for calling on me to be part of CTN. I've been admiring CTN for the longest time because of the work you do and your essence, your driving force. I think, CTN and goTo are like sisters. But yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for coming. So first, I would love to hear more about yourself, how you got into sustainability, what, drove you to have such a passion for sustainability.
I'd say anger and then my mom or my background, right? So this was after senior high school. I failed math, and so I couldn't get into uni. So I had to stay back to correct my math and then try to get into uni. But that took 2 years. In that 2 years, I filled a lot of my time with some Al Jazeera and news about geopolitics and the happenings around the world. And it got me very upset. It got me enraged. I felt like things needed to be done that weren't being done. And so from there on, I took up volunteering roles in the space of, non-governmental organization work or non-profit work. So I'm learning as I'm volunteering, and then I get the epiphany that, it's not just about charity. It's not just about bringing people charity or charitable work, but it's deeper than that. It's about creating a system that is logical and centers people and planet over profit. What we have now is a system that is driven by profit, is run for profit, it's created by, from, and for profit. And I just felt like that needed to change. So that's where my passion for sustainability came from. When it comes to the work we do with goTo, you notice that a lot of localized work and it's a lot of grassroots work. That comes from my background as a Wala girl. And it comes from the privilege of having the kind of mother that I have. She's very traditional. She's a Wala woman as well. And it just came from observing her way of life, her thought process, the things she valued, and how she lived her life, not just for herself, but for her community and nature, juxtaposing that to my understanding of sustainability, mainstream sustainability, and now becoming this package that the world needs.
Right. I mean, I think we should actually define what sustainability is. I think sustainability is very broad. Usually when people think about sustainability, they think about recycling, which I don't think is wrong because that's a part of it, right? But then from someone who has, who lives, I would say, a sustainable life and is, into creating awareness about sustainability, what would you say sustainability is?
So this would just be what I see sustainability is, because like you said, sustainability is just so multifaceted and it's very complex in itself and it's a lot to take down and detangle and all of that. But in my word, I'd say that sustainability is a system that attempts to create a world that is healthy and fair for all. So when I say healthy and fair for all, I'm not just talking about humans, but I'm talking about nature and this planet that we exist in. Very often, some would also describe it as creating a world where we live with the awareness that, they're going to be future generations. So we live in a way where we don't harvest all that there is, but we leave some for future generations, because there's an assumption that the way we are living right now, future generations are not going to have anything to also live on. So there's mine, which is attempting to create a world that is healthy and fair for all, a world that centers people and planet over profit. For me, that's what sustainability is about.
Amazing. I would like us to go more into the goTo initiative. I mean, I had the pleasure of, seeing you go up and down to like bring the fair to life. It was such a beautiful event, like, different people from different backgrounds all coming to this event. And I was just like, wow, like, this is so amazing. Like, I would love for you to really tell us what the goTo initiative is about.
Okay, so the goTo initiative started as a fair plan. Like, we wanted a fair, an immersive fair that celebrated local sustainability initiatives. So the goTo fair should have happened in 2022, which was last year. But due to resource constraints, it couldn't happen. And then it happened this year. Now, planning last year, 2022, planning in 2022 for 2023, and the goTo fair in 2023, we noticed that we couldn't just have a fair, a one-time fair each year or once and say, oh, we've done this in the name of sustainability. In fact, that goes against the very tenet of sustainability. We had to create a vehicle that actively drives and informs conscious consumption, right? So the goTo initiative started as an attempt to politicize consumption. When I say politicizing consumption, what do I mean? So for a very long time, we consume in a way where we are alienated from what we're consuming, right? So you just go into a supermarket and you pick whatever is on there because you can, right? Because you have the money to buy it. And if you don't pick something, it's because you don't have the money to buy it, right? And so it's not just about the supermarket, but it's about our way of living, right? It's even about the mode of transport we are using, what we are considering as sustainable energy and all of that. All of that was really driven by just purchasing power. If I've got the purchasing power and I want it, then I'm going to get it. But what goTo is attempting to do is, no, you're not alienated from this product, because if you pick up a body lotion, it's not just a body lotion, right? This body lotion, when you trace the chain, there are people connected to this body lotion, people that were probably underpaid for you to get this body lotion, and people that the sustenance of this body lotion brand has to severely and constantly exploit and underpay them. You need to care, right? Because we live in this human community. We don't live alone. We live in a human community and we survive in a human community. So you need to care. Now, if you know and you care, then you're going to make a better choice, right? Or if you have the right information, then you're going to make a better choice. Better still, if you don't have the right information, if it's about a lack of access, then goTo brings you the access. Like it's about the lack of alternatives, because usually people would see what we get is don't buy this, don't buy this, don't buy that, don't buy that. But so what should we buy? Well, that's where goTo comes in. And that's where all through the year we create engagements, community engagements, where you can come and interact with local sustainability solutions, where you can come and find alternatives to the business as usual. And then each year we have the flagship event, which is the goTo Fair. We've had that once, but they'll be coming subsequently in the years. We have the goTo Fair, where we have the comprehensive feel of it all. And it's immersive. We attempt for it to be zero waste. We attempt for it to be fun. And we attempt for it to be relatable in the ways where business as usual is.
Right.
I don't know if I say that right, but yeah.
No, I think you did really well with that.
Great.
So you did say something about prior to the actual fair, there were certain I don't know how to call them initiatives or like community building activities that you guys organized towards the fair. What were some of these initiatives or activities, and what was the aim? What were you trying to achieve with these different initiatives in the name of sustainability?
Right. So one of them, I I think the one that people found most fun, not me, but people found most intriguing was the clothes swap event, where the people brought their neatly used clothes and brought them into a space to share with or to exchange with other neatly used clothes. So, people came to find new to them treasures. Um, and that was really not just about clothes. I think I never got the chance to explain that. I'm glad I get to do that, changing the narrative. But it was
Okay.
not just about clothes, but it was changing the way we looked at things and we consumed things. So the way we consume things is, I want this. I get it. I'm bored of it. I throw it out. And there's just no really other way of looking at it. But if you look at our African community, which is a place where goTo draws inspiration from, we've always had the spirit of share. We've always had that spirit of share. So if you didn't want this beautiful blouse you're wearing anymore, Apia could give it to me, right? Or Apia could give it to her neighbor, or Apia could give it to some random person in her community just because. Now we've moved to a place of, so that was the cycle of circularity or cyclical way of consumption. And then we moved to a place where if I got something and I didn't want it anymore, the only solution is to throw it away. But there's a popular saying that says there's no place such as throw away, because when you throw away, where these things you no longer want to go are the oceans, the water bodies, they are going into landfills, or they are being just badly disposed of. So we're hurting the planet through our mode of consumption. And so the clothes swap was really just to challenge people to be creative with how we consume, to be communal in how we consume, and be willing to explore other modes of disposal. Disposal shouldn't always mean the dustbin. Sometimes it could mean revamping, which we tried to do at our second event, which was no, that was our fourth event, which was the upcycling event. We had an upcycling event also towards goTo Fair earlier this year. And the good part of that was we bought a box of all the clothes that didn't get swapped at the clothes swap. We brought them and we allowed people to explore their creativity with them. So some people made a denim art showpiece. Some people made denim bags. Some people made pouches. People made whatever their creativity wanted them to make with some of these clothes. And then some of the old stuff they themselves didn't like anymore, they were able to bring to that event and were able to upcycle them into fun and useful home decor artifacts or items. Yeah, those are two of those. And then we had like talks, one with the influencer community, because again, we're trying to politicize consumption. And when it comes to consumption now, influencers do hold the torch and they do drive the fort when it comes to that. And so we just wanted to engage that community and see, how do you look at sustainability? Does sustainability have a space with you? What is the future of sustainability with you? And other pertinent questions. So yeah.
I mean, I was at the clothes swap, and to be fair, it was a very lovely event. And I think what I really like about what you and your team are doing is the ability to really bring together a community of people who are even already living sustainable lives, and people who, to an extent, they are, but aren't very conscious of the fact that they are. And I think it's a really full space created for like everyone to either learn more or still like, just participate. I think that was, yeah. So a question I would love to ask, right, is what challenges have you encountered in encouraging behavior change towards like more sustainable lifestyle? And like how have you been able to overcome that? For instance, let's say with the goTo fair or even as yourself as a, you know, strategist for sustainable development.
I think the challenges we have encountered are no, I'll be honest and I'll say they aren't any special to the sustainability agenda. They are just typical human problems because your brain loves patterns, especially patterns your brain is used to. So your brain would naturally reject a new way of life or alternatives. Your brain would reject it, and so it would it would um it would also show you where like people wouldn't want to accept alternatives. I've got to be honest, and I'll say this that in the Ghanaian in the Ghanaian space, in the Ghanaian society, in the Ghanaian community, one, we have been sustainable and we have been living sustainably as per our our core values, like our
Right.
dated values. That's what we build community on. And so when we talk about sustainability, I'm trying to pick my words very well because when we talk about sustainability with these local communities, we're not talking about it in terms of, oh, we are bringing you these novel stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're just
It's
talking
nothing
about
new.
it in
Right.
exactly. We're just talking about like, hey, you remember that thing you used to do? You remember when you
Mhm.
would fix your shoe at the shoemaker instead of like
Yeah.
throwing it out? Yeah, could you do that again? Right? Or you
Right.
remember when you would look out for the idea so that you could
Yeah.
alter your dress? Could you do that again?
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
could we make clothes that have the lifespan of clothes that we used to make earlier? Could we not kill animals just because we can? Could we not throw away food just so we can? And that's the African is not someone, if you look back at our history, where people who who used to take only as much as we needed with regard for the others in the community. And that's been stripping away, slowly and slowly. And so that's one of the core mandates of goTo, to bring this awareness back to people. But the other thing that I want to talk about also when you talk about the challenges we face, yes, the challenges we face is just people not welcoming um, these things that we are suggesting and we are prescribing, but also not by choice, right? Because we're living in tough times. We're living in very tough times where people can't even find the money to survive. People are struggling to survive at the moment. There's
Mhm.
also the bit where people do not have the luxury of thinking about alternatives because they're
Yeah.
basically struggling and fighting for their lives at the moment. So,
Yeah.
even though I want to talk about the challenges that we face, I don't want to make it about the challenges goTo has faced. I want to use that moment to highlight all these elements and to say that these are the things that we've noticed. And so, for instance, in order to make sure that the work that we're doing is practical enough moving into 2024, we're making this about driving local entrepreneurs, driving
Mm.
local business. And just like
Mm.
CTN is doing, driving the taste and the desire for local products, local
Right.
services, because that's
Mm.
the only way out, right?
Mm.
Even for us as sustainable enthusiasts, sustainable strategists, you cannot talk about the alternatives when there is poverty, when people are struggling for their lives. It almost seems morally wrong to be telling them,
Yeah.
hey, drop that plastic and get a dispenser. Drop that sachet or drop that bottle and get a
Yeah.
dispenser. You
Yeah.
know,
I get what you
so
mean. It kind of seems a little inconsiderate.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we take into account who our people have always been. That's
Mhm.
the ethos of our people, the African people at their core. And then we also take into account the realities, the hopes, and the aspirations of the people right now. Challenges in behavioral engineering they'll come. They are given. In fact, if we weren't a given, then there would be no need for where we are at. And so
Hey guys, I'm actually really excited for this season of the podcast to be sponsored by Newcomer because I personally use the platform and I've also been an avid follower of their journey because I really do think that it's a game changer for Black and African creatives. Okay, let me tell you about the platform for real. So, Newcomer is a social media platform for Black and African creatives to share their work, find jobs, as well as events. The platform has amazing features that caters to both creatives and businesses. For creatives, you can use Newcomer projects to create an online portfolio that allows you to collaborate with other creatives on the platform and also attract clients. Businesses can use Newcomer jobs to set a description, set a budget, and post their jobs for creatives to apply. Businesses can also shortlist and discover talented creatives directly on the platform. An exciting new feature that's coming up is Newcomer Events. This feature allows you to buy and sell event tickets directly on the platform. Newcomer is building an amazing community of African and Black creatives. To join this amazing community, sign up on newcomer.com or download the app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. And don't forget to connect with me on there.
Yeah, moving into 2024, we're learning. We've learned a lot from 2023. We're still learning, and we're allowing the lessons to drive us for community.
I mean, you did touch on what's it called, Ghanaian businesses. And a question I want to ask is, what, in your opinion, what are some of like the innovative and effective sustainable solutions that Ghanaians can adopt in their daily lives?
So we know that as the days have gone by, people who could afford certain, in recent times, people who could afford certain things, we're no longer being able to afford them, right? And so one solution, which is broad, but allow people to dissect as their creativity leads them, is upcycling. There's so much money you could save from repurposing the things around you. And there's so much your creativity and your time could do for you when you actually sit down, pick up something and figure out different ways you can use this thing, right? Another thing I would suggest is there are a lot of businesses now that have started this technology, this stove of, let's say, gas alternative technologies in terms of pallets, right? So they made pallets. They make like charcoal or charcoal lookalikes from food waste. So it could be like coconut husk or something of that sort. I know Zarcoal is doing that, and I know Biddy Green is doing that. Those are like two businesses. The alternatives, that this alternative to the gas stove is cost effective and it's smokeless, right? And it does very little harm to our forests because we know that our forests go through a lot for us to get charcoal. So these are logical alternatives. The last time I was speaking to one gentleman from Biddy Green, and we did a cost analysis of their pellets, comparing that to charcoal. And quite frankly, it's a reasonable alternative to charcoal or your gas stoves. So Biddy Green, charcoal. There's also sustainable or local, let me not use sustainable, but they are local sustainability. Local? Because I'm a sustainability enthusiast. So sometimes, okay. So there are local fashion brands that are coming up right now that I'm in love with. What I love about the local, allow me to be sustainable, right? Sustainable fashion scene at the moment is, for instance, how we're making use of DIYs, right? And how we're incorporating culture or cultural elements into our clothes, right? And it reminds me, when it comes to the local fashion scene, allow me to digress a bit. It reminds me of the township economy in South Africa. And if anybody's listening to this, you need to check out the township economy in South Africa and how fashion is at the forefront of this township economy. The potential of this township economy for the township people is immense. The township economy is growing. It's grown so much in the last 2 years, as per the last report I read. And it's really empowering the people, the South African people in the townships. So that's just by the way. But when it comes to the local fashion scene, sustainability fashion scene, I'd give it up to Oldie but Goodie. I'm excited about what they do. There's Akitesia, excited about what they do. There's Debs Buku's brand, her DIY brand, absolutely excited about what they do. And I know a host of young entrepreneurs who are starting or have started upcycled fashion brands. Right now, that's exciting. I don't know their names, so I can't mention them, but those are innovations that I'm excited about. There's the Ishara app. So excited about the Ishara app because it's a waste collection app and it monetizes and digitalizes waste. I do see
I
the
think
issue
it's
there.
really interesting
Yeah.
because a lot of people have a struggle with separating their waste.
Definitely. And being able to send them out for recycling. That's
Exactly.
been a
That's
struggle.
really where it made.
Thank you. And that's a solution that they're trying to, and they're in the works they're building. It's exciting. It's fun. There are a host of them that I can't mention here, but you get the drift.
I do. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
I think what I would love for us to touch on, it will be certain like misconceptions that we have as a society. So, for instance, like how do cultural and societal factors influence people's perception of sustainability in like the Ghanaian context? Like, what do you think? How do cultural and societal factors, right, influence people's perceptions of sustainability in the Ghanaian context?
So, with regards to cultural and societal factors and how those affect the average Ghanaian's perception of sustainability, I think, unfortunately, we've not allowed the cultural factors to influence our perception of sustainability too well. And that's a loss that I identify at the moment, but none that I don't think we could rectify in the near future. When it comes to societal factors, however, I think we do a great job at letting that affect our perception, right? Because largely in the society, or I exist in a modern society at the moment, right? And when I judge my reality as a young, modern Ghanaian woman existing in the society that I do, by no fault, I don't want to blame people too much because, human beings are hardwired to follow what's popular. It's safe. It's safer there, right? And so, unfortunately for us, what is popular now and what is valued now is money, right? Money. And when I say money, I'm talking money and capital accumulation, right? So nobody's got time to think about the next person or how what they do affects people or planet, because all of us are in this rat race to accumulate as much as we can. And so sustainability now is now seen as a waste of time, a scam. It's seen for some people as too expensive. And I'm asking myself, how is it expensive to grow your own stuff in your backyard? How is it expensive to shop at the local market or to shop local produce over imported produce? How is it expensive to buy local, like your body lotion, your cosmetics and stuff? How is it expensive to buy that over foreign brands or imported brands? Like, how is any of that expensive, right? All sustainability is expecting of you is to take a step back, look at how you consume, what you contribute to, what you drive, and think, hey, I'm going to make better decisions for community and for nature and for our planet. So unfortunately for us, we've not allowed our culture to affect our perceptions of sustainability too well. GoTo is working to change that. Changing the narrative is working to change that. And I know a host of other organizations that are doing the work to change that. We're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping for the best. Hopefully, we're hoping that in the run up to it, society reconsiders how they look at sustainability, and hopefully sustainability becomes socially accepted, at least so far as
Yeah.
modern Ghana is concerned, or popular, basically. Yeah.
Okay. You did mention that culturally we haven't allowed that to influence us, and you say that that's a loss. Why do you say that?
It's a loss because, let me just digress a bit. When I started paying attention to the SDGs and the solutions that would be prescribed to us, and then I juxtaposed that against the way of living for the average, let me not say average Ghanaian, but a typical traditional Ghanaian, I noticed that these things, these prescriptions that we now, activists like me and my folks alike, find so profound as somebody's way of life, right? So, for instance, I remember when I went to Susu camp in the up in the Western North region, and I remember I had gone to volunteer to teach, and I remember I was so pumped to go and teach these people about sustainability and environmental awareness and da da da. And I got there and I noticed, wait a minute, you need to humble yourself and learn a thing or two from these people. These people were highly communal. These people lived with the understanding that you need to take care of nature for nature to take care of you. These people
Right.
lived taking care of one another. Like, that was it. For them, for their way of life, money and capital accumulation was not their driving force. It wasn't their fuel. It was the next person, right? And so, for instance, you notice that one of the goals of the SDG is zero hunger. Now, what those people may be cut off, maybe modern technology and advancements and all of that, but I can bet you that nobody in that community is going to bed hungry because of just how communal they are, and because of how they understand that, you could grow something in the back of your yard, but
Yeah.
that's just me digress. So when I say that it's a loss for us, it's like, it's who we are traditionally at our core. It's who we are. The only reason why we are at this point, and it's not a bad point. Now, let me clarify something. I've noticed that as I've spoken, I have sort of made it look like the average person has a responsibility to live sustainably. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen to the planet and da da da. I want to clarify that and say that that's not by any means where I'm coming at, right? The people who have caused harm to the planet, the people that have caused the planet to warm up, the climate catastrophe and all, it's not you and I. No matter how excessive our way of life is, it is not you and I. So it logically follows that even if we stop living business as usual and we all switch to alternatives, we're likely not going to be able to undo the harm that's happened at the moment. But what we will be able to do is enhance quality of life. And that's what that's what goTo really goes at. So when I tell people, you could upcycle your stuff, so that you could weather, it's got less to do about you contributing to global warming and more to do about how you could save some more bucks to do other stuff that you need, as opposed to spending the money here. Or it goes back when I say, buy local. That's not to say that, when you buy imported, your carbon footprint is causing the world to, warm up. But that's to say that, well, if we do that, we could build the value of our Ghana cities. If we do that, we could build our economy. If we do that, we could build businesses that could scale up and employ people and give people decent wages. Ekria, you would agree with me that when you look at the SDGs, from zero hunger to zero poverty to good health and well-being to building sustainable cities to gender equality and the like, you cannot do that in the midst of rampant poverty. You can't. It's not possible. People cannot access you can't even access renewable energy whilst there's rampant poverty. You cannot access it if you do not have an economy that's robust enough to locally build renewable energy, technology, storage technology, whatever that is. So on our end, when we talk about sustainability, it's got nothing to do with saving the planet and being Superman, no, but it's got everything to do with enhancing the quality of local life and building our society and building our economies from ground up so that it's robust enough to even withhold from the shocks, from external shocks like we've seen in the past, like COVID. You know what that did to the global supply chain system, right? So that shows that the global supply chain system is shaky. And so if you live in an economy like ours, in a country like ours, where everything is outsourced, I'm not wishing for the next COVID, but imagine what would happen to us when something bigger than COVID happens. We're cut off from global supply chains and we're not able to take care of ourselves. So yeah, now that I've said that word, when we ask people to live sustainably, you just have to sustain yourself. Really, how to sustain yourself, how to take care of what you've got so that what you've got can take care of you and future generations.
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually really love that.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, I will ask you, what are some of these practical, sustainable things that like an everyday person can do, or even maybe certain things that people already do, but they don't realize that I'm actually living a sustainable life. Like just to kind of give people an idea of, living sustainably without having it to be so, like sometimes when people talk
So
about
abstract.
sustainability, yes,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
abstract, so making it seem like it's such a big thing. But I feel like in our day to day, like subconsciously, we do live sustainably because you would put your trash in like a bag and then throw it out. You wouldn't just throw it out in the open somewhere. Even though we're still trying to stop some of the people that do that, but like you will definitely dispose of your trash into the bin, because you know that okay, you do not want to choke the gutters or something. So I would just let you like list certain basic sustainable practices just to kind of remind people that living a sustainable life isn't as abstract as you might think it is. Yeah.
Growing your own food is one. Buying local. I can't emphasize that enough. Buying local. Buying local is through and through. Every time you choose to buy something, ask yourself, what's the local alternative to this thing that I'm trying to buy? Through and through. Buying local. Being mindful of how you dispose of stuff. So when I say dispose of, I'm not just talking about when you put something in the dustbin, but like when you're done eating your chocolate and you put it in the dustbin. That's not just what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you're done with your clothes. How do you choose to dispose it of? Do you choose to put it in a dustbin just because you can and you can afford another? Do you choose to upcycle it into something else? For me, again, how you consume. How you consume. For the average person, right? Living sustainably is just basically how you consume. So that's why I'd say, are you buying local? Are you buying local? Again, what are you buying? Being able to buy things that, being able to buy products for which you have researched and found have been sustainably or responsibly produced, right? So buying things that have been sustainably and responsibly produced, caring enough to look for the background of the producer of a certain product, of a certain service, those acts in themselves are sustainable. I think I didn't answer the question well in the way I framed it, but I hope people get me. Disposing of your stuff mindfully, buying locally, researching what you buy before you buy it so that you know what you're giving your money to and what you're energizing and what you're fueling. Those acts are reasonable acts of sustainability that we could all practice. And checking waste. How could I forget that? Checking waste, being mindful of waste. I think we live in an era of instant gratification. So for all of you who are mindful of the waste you create, you're living sustainably, and you give yourself a pat on the back. Really. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Nabeela. And thank you so much for honoring my invitation. It was so lovely to discuss sustainability with you, to just kind of, open our mindset as to what exactly it is, how we can really, live sustainably. I really appreciate your time and your insight.
I appreciate you having me. I'm a big fan of CTN. I'm a big fan of Oldie But Goodie. I've been waiting to see your next drop from Oldie But Goodie. I've been
coming.
Keeping my fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, it's coming.
I hope you keep us all in the loop. Look at me telling you what to do on your show.
That's okay. That's really okay. Thank you so much again.
Right.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Change in the Narrative podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe to the Change in the Narrative podcast.